Well, let me begin, and then I'm going to kind of step out of my notes this morning, just to talk a little bit about what it means to experience the energies of Cancer. But let's start with the keynote. There's two keynotes actually with Cancer. Let me remind you, in case you don't remember, that last night was the actual full moon, a little after 9. I think it was like 8 minutes after 9 o'clock. I'm sure you felt the energies. They were quite strong. But we're still within that time frame. You know, if you can meditate at the exact time, that's wonderful and perfect and best. But if you can't, we have 7 days of the energies of Cancer, just like we have the 7 days of the energies of Leo and so forth. So we're experiencing these energies 3 days before, the day of, and 3 days after. So we're still within the time frame, you know, of experiencing the energies of Cancer. So the soul note, there's a soul note, soul keynote, which we usually talk about, and Richard was talking about, which is I build a lighted house, and therein dwell. Basically, what I think we're doing is building our little bit of heaven, you know, in this very dense planet. And it's not easy. It is becoming more difficult, I think, to build our lighted house. Why? Because there are so many distractions. Whether you're a teenager or whether you are a senior citizen, there are a lot of distractions that prevent you from really trying to build your little piece of heaven. And for a disciple being one who serves the plan of hierarchy, one who is building their future, they must have discipline in their life to build that little part of heaven, because it's not just heaven on the physical plane. It is understanding what the emotional body, the astral plane, is all about. And once you travel into that very foggy, misty, misleading sphere of consciousness called the astral plane, particularly the lower astral plane, you really need your little section of heaven, your lighted house, because if you think there are distractions here on the physical plane, the astral plane is even more dense with distractions. So the disciple is like, it's like being a roto-rooter and forcing him or herself through the density of the physical life and the emotional life to eventually get beyond even the lower mental plane into the higher mental plane. The higher mental plane is really important to us during the full moon of Cancer, because that higher mental plane is called the causal body. And it is that causal body that actually determines new birth. It determines each incarnation. And thus, when we move into this time of the full moon of Cancer, for some of us, we are already determining what our next incarnation is going to be based on the substance, the elements that are in our causal body. So we're not only thinking about building that little section of heaven here physically and in the astral world, but also in our future. So it's really, really important to take these 7 days, take a look at your life, take a look at your relationships, take a look at your thoughts, take a look at how you view who you are and the imprint that you are making in your life that are affecting other people and that are going to affect your next life. So that's basically when we think about the soul keynote, I build a lighted house and therein dwell. We're going to be dwelling in our little lighted house incarnation after incarnation after incarnation. Now, the personality keynote for Cancer is this. And the word said, let isolation be the rule, and yet the crowd exists. What that means is, look at, I'm a person unto myself. Yeah, I see a lot of people out there. I see the crowds, but I don't care about the crowds because I care about me. So I'm isolating myself from everybody and everything, and the only thing that's important are my opinions, my judgment, my family, my home, my car, my bank account, my this, my that. And in the early years of life, that's enough. You know, they're busy. The isolation means that they're busy building their sense of identity, building their sense of self. But once they reach the age of 28 and 29, things should be different by that time. That's when a new Saturn cycle is coming in. And Saturn says, all right, now you know who you are. Now you have an identity. Now you have an ego. What are you going to do with everything that you have built, hey, from the time you were born to the time you were 28 or 29? Well, that's a real critical point for you if your life is very personality oriented. This can be a time of decision for you, that you deciding, all right, this life is not about me. It is about my family, yes, but it's also about my community. How am I going to help my community build a lighted house? Or how can I help build my country? So at that point, you may decide to go into politics, see, or into education, or into a service-oriented career and profession that now moves you from living only in your own little home, isolated from the rest of the world, out into the world and seeing that we are actually building, as a humanity, a lighted house for the future of our country and for the future of our humanity. What are we giving birth to for the next cycle of humanity? And that next cycle is called the Aquarian Age, or as I was talking about the last 2 weeks, the new era. What are we taking into the new era? Torgrim Saradarian wrote about the energies of the constellation of Cancer and how to use them. Basically, he said, he talked about beauty in a particular chapter that he wrote on this sign of Cancer. And he said the key to beauty is in the human being. So this is the, the hint that he was giving us, that we all have this seed of beauty that is in us. And during the days of the full moon of Cancer are the days that we want to make contact with that beauty within ourselves, and then to release this beauty in small dosages into building our lighted house. So we should have been searching and can continue searching today and tomorrow and Wednesday for this seed of beauty within our own nature, and see if we can add or increase or expand beauty in our temple. Here's a daily exercise to experience during these next few days. In the early morning, contact that image of beauty and godliness within you. Once you have contacted this image early in the morning, why early in the morning? I have a friend, a co-worker, that gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning, takes her dog, and goes out on a short run of 3 to 5 miles a day. And I thought, how could she do that? Because she's in the beauty of nature. It's her meditation. So she's starting her day bathing herself in the beauty of nature. So this is why this exercise, I believe, is telling us early in the morning, if you contact beauty, beauty without, beauty within, this means we will not be the same person throughout the day. That image will slowly become radioactive and control our physical activities, our emotional, our mental environment in such a way that our thoughts, our motives, and plans are going to be imbued with this seed of beauty. So we are unknowingly building our lighted house with this inherent legacy that our soul is given, called the seed of beauty. Now what's really cool, and this is what I like so much about the sign of Cancer, particularly from the esoteric point of view, is that we realize that these 3 major festivals that took place before Cancer, Aries, Taurus, and Gemini, play a very important part as we go through and experience these energies of Cancer. And this is how it is done. The energy of Aries, this is right from the teaching. The energy of Aries, remember Aries back a few, 3 months ago, 3 solar months ago? Aries is restorative. And it's very fiery. If you've ever met an Aries, you're never going to see an Aries be a dull human being. No matter what level of consciousness they are in, it's almost like they spew out fire, because Aries is fiery. Aries is fiery. It's also restorative. Restorative now, when we went through the energies of Aries, what was it restoring? Our psychology, our spirituality, our morality. Those 3 things: spirituality, psychology, and morality. So Aries is not only fiery, it is also restorative. It charges and stimulates our nature, and in doing this, in charging and stimulating our nature, what is happening, it is causing us to progress. So every year as we go through this fiery and restorative energy of Aries, we are progressing if we prepare ourselves. It only takes 7 days to concentrate and focus on those energies of Aries. And if we do, and if we are successful and begin to advance and progress from where we were a year ago, we're carrying that over into the 7 days of Cancer. That will have a major impact on our future. Taurus, the energies of Taurus and the forces of Taurus create an opportunity for what? for enlightenment. So here we were going through Aries, through those restorative and fiery energies, and we were successful, and we began to advance. Our consciousness, see, was advancing. We now, as a soul, we're beginning to progress. Well, what are we going to do with that? That advancement put us into the sphere of enlightenment, into an environment where we became enlightened. It brings new light. Taurus brings new light into our relationships with others, also into the purpose of our life. So maybe for a few years you've been saying, I don't know what the purpose of my life is. If you prepared yourself during those 7 days and experienced the fiery and restorative energies of Aries, now when you were in Taurus, you were enlightened as to what the purpose of your life is. As you become identified and recognize that purpose, do you know what's happening? Now you are aligning yourself with the plan of hierarchy. To me, it's so scientific and still so remarkable. When we are aligned with the plan of hierarchy, we are aligned with the Lords of Shambhala. Because our life's plan, our life's purpose is directly related to the plan of hierarchy, the plan of Shambhala, which distills into the plan of humanity. Now, Gemini. Now we're taking this, remember, we're taking this into these 7 days of Cancer. Gemini, the energies and forces of Gemini bring about an opportunity for reconstruction. So we've been restored, we've been enlightened, and now we're reconstructing our life. This is going to take place over many, many years. It's not just this 1 year, not just 2017. But it'll go on into 2018, 2019, and so forth. So the energies and forces of Gemini bring about our own reconstruction base. See, we're reconstructing now. We're finding the materials during Gemini. We're taking during Gemini all the good that we have accumulated over many incarnations of experience that we've had as a soul, and we're reconstructing our life out of those lighted experiences. So now you're beginning to see, if you haven't already, seen how important Aries, Taurus, and Gemini are. Also, how important it is to be part of the consciousness of the group during Aries, Taurus, and Gemini. Don't miss those 3 full moons. Don't do it unless you just really want to stay the same, and live in hell. So I could talk for hours this morning. I just love the energy of Cancer, but I will control myself here. Okay, so Cancer, the energies and forces of the sun in Cancer, the light of Cancer, creates an opportunity to utilize all of these accumulated energies that we went through and experienced from Aries to Taurus to Gemini. And now we're ready to build a new level of consciousness, to live in that new level, just like what Richard was reading to us about this morning, of where, let's say that our consciousness has been really focused in the lower mind for many, many years, but now, because we prepared ourselves and we were really on target with experiencing and aligned with and experiencing Aries, Taurus, and Gemini, now we're going to take our soul up into the higher mind, up into the higher mind. And we're building or adding another floor onto our lighted house. Our sun moves through space every 30 days. So every 30 days, our physical sun is moving into this electric magnetic field of space, or of the 12 signs of the zodiac, 12 constellations of the zodiac. Now, what happens, especially at the exact time of the full moon, the exact time? This is why we want to try to, at least for a few minutes, meditate during that exact time, is that an incredible harmonization takes place between our consciousness, the plan of our soul, the plan of hierarchy, and the plan of Shambhala. There is a harmonization that takes place. So if we've found ourselves out of synchronization, out of alignment with our plan and purpose, that means we're out of sync with the changing plan of the hierarchy, and really out of plan, out of sync with the plan of Shambhala. So harmonization. So if you had time last night and you don't feel like you've lost, if you didn't, that you lost your opportunity, it's just a little harder now to make that alignment. But we can still do it. But you have to take a little bit more time today. Don't go into the mall. Don't go to a movie. Stay home, read about Cancer, and then take 15 or 20 minutes and ask your inner guide, your solar angel, to align and harmonize yourself with your life purpose and with your plan. So your life plan. So if you can do this, you'll have a tremendous opportunity to be aligned with the plan of hierarchy. What does lighted mean? Light is electrical and fiery. So as we're building our lighted house, we're increasing the electricity. We're increasing the fire, the spirit within our temple, within our consciousness. During the time the sun transmits the rays of Cancer to us, we use the fiery energy of the sun and the electricity in space in such a way to construct a better structure for our soul to live in. Our lighted house, our temple. Cancer is the sign for new phases of incarnation. It's also for the commencement of a new life or new beginnings. It is the natural fourth house of the zodiac. So if you know anything about astrology and horoscopes, you know that the fourth house is the natural house of the sign of Cancer. It's also indicative of the conditions of the end of life or the conclusion of projects in order for you to start something new and to give birth to something new, to new beginnings. Now, you may have thought, well, isn't that what Aries is for? Think of this. What you are giving birth to now, you had to formulate causal body. You had to create these ideas, hopefully from the higher mind, from your causal body, wherein is found your life purpose. 9 months from now, 9 solar months from now, is Aries. So we're really by the time Aries comes around, people say, wow, look at what they're doing. Actually, we started it back during these days of Cancer. See, we are giving birth to the idea, and the idea is born into manifestation 9 solar months later, which is Aries. Aries archetypically is a sign connected with beginnings, but nothing of lasting moment is ever given birth to or inaugurated without a firm and clearly formulated idea or concept. It was under the sign of Cancer that our causal body was given birth, under the sign of Cancer. Okay, I don't want to, gosh, I made this talk so short this morning, I thought for sure I had plenty of time. Who would have thought? Anyway, let me pick out some pertinent ideas for us to think about. Okay, there's 3 points that we can practice during Cancer. One is observation, another is concentration, and another is meditation. So, observation, concentration, and meditation. These 3 points we can use to think about and contemplate over the next few days, or between now and the new moon, which is a couple of weeks from now. Observation, concentration, and meditation. You must be very honest with yourself and observe those parts of your nature which are not spiritually up to date. Be honest with yourself and observe, are you spiritually up to date? For example, is your professional life in alignment with your soul's plan? Is your profession right now going to carry you into your next incarnation to help you be a better server, a greater human being, someone unique? Is your day-to-day life reflective of your principles and values? What habits do you have that seem to prevent you from building your house? What habits are preventing your success? Now, observation also includes concentration. So we have observation, we have concentration. Without concentration, we're going to miss something in our observation. If in observation we only see half the picture, we're not going to have the right materials with which to build our lighted house. So concentration is the ability to focus our awareness. Concentration is the ability to focus our awareness so that we have the ability to understand the various parts of our life, our nature, our consciousness that creates the whole. We become aware then through observation, through concentration, of what parts are missing. And as such realize something is keeping us from being whole. We realize that some of our parts do not belong to the whole. See, these are things we should be thinking about. What parts in our life don't belong to the whole? We realize some of the parts are outdated. For example, emotions. Do we have emotions that are still childish? Do we have physical activities that still act as a teenager stage, or thoughts that are working against our true self-image? Meditation is one of the most progressive and ageless methods toward enlightenment. Not popular meditation. which is amazing to even say, because back in the day when I started meditating, officially meditating, which I actually began meditating when I was 3, but not with seed thought meditation, that didn't start until I was in my mid-30s. And when you mentioned the word meditation, people thought you were a yogi, that you were in some Eastern religion, you know, and you didn't dare say the word meditation out loud. You know, not with, you're around certain people. So, but now meditation, you can go down even in this little town of Prescott, and you can see all different types of little, you know, businesses that yoga meditation, hot yoga, all these different forms of meditation. We're not talking about that kind of meditation. Yoga and meditation work together. Hatha yoga has its own meditation, and that's what all of these little salons are teaching, even though they give it different names. They're teaching Hatha yoga meditation, which is identifying the soul, keeping the soul identified with what? The physical body. We've already perfected the physical body, now we're just trying to refine it. So seed thought meditation is the most progressive and ageless method toward enlightenment, toward building our lighted house. It is important that our approach to meditation is equal to our consciousness. There is an advanced method of meditation beyond seed thought meditation that can be used once you have an enlightened mind, and it is called Agni Yoga. Next week I'm going to be talking a little bit about the mind, and then during our anniversary, our 35th anniversary in October, I'm going to spend a whole day, half a day talking, half a day discussing what intelligence and pure intelligence is, because we have intelligence but not pure intelligence. We have a lower mind, but we're not using it in the right way. When we begin to use the lower mind in the right way, it means our soul is now functioning in the higher mind. That's Agni Yoga, functioning in the solar mind. So Agni meditation requires a pure mind in which the fires of the higher mind create unity between not only the physical, emotional, and mental bodies, but also fuse them with the fires of the spiritual triad. The spiritual triad is a very advanced level of consciousness that our soul can use as a lighted house.